you are building.
Welcome back to our Friday conversation with Glenn. We've got college students from around the area gathered here asking the burning questions on their mind. And our next one comes from Jessica.
Hi, Jess.
Okay, my second question is going to take us back to...
You are, what are you, the richest 1% of questions? Oh my gosh,
my
let the
dad
90...
told me a couple to ask.
All right,
kind
go
of
ahead.
help me out. So, but it's going to take us back to education, because obviously that's important, and we know that our education system is messed up. And so my question is, what are some practical ways that we can fix it?
David and Pat.
That's an interesting question.
We've had a discussion on this before.
We have. Yes,
Pat,
we have.
Pat and David are working on that very question, and I'm kind of taking a back seat on that and seeing what they come up with. But
Let me throw one thing at you philosophically. In the 1920s, American education changed from teaching you guys how to think, instead we started teaching you how to learn. And at that point, when you're a learner and not a thinker, then the teacher becomes important. We'll tell you what you need to know. It was in the 1920s that we started introducing multiple choice, true, false, fill in the blank. Because the teacher will tell you, you just spit it back to us. Prior to that, we taught you how to think. And thinking was a whole lot more important than learning, because if you can think, you can learn anything.
how do you find the answers?
Yeah.
How do you find the answers?
See, we know from the Department of Education that 95% of graduating seniors out of high school do not know how to use a primary source document. Well, if 95% don't know, then how do you check your facts? How do you check sources? And so you become very gullible in this education system. So it's going to take a while to change it, but in the meantime, work on learning how to think, not how to
that's
learn.
really why people like me have become so successful. Because people in the audience, not mine, my audience is relentless on the facts, and we encourage it. Don't take my word for it. Go do your own homework, and they do. But most audiences, especially general audiences and those on the left, they don't. And you'll see it in we saw it in the last election. The president or Romney would out and out lie. They would say something that was so easily verifiable. And then they would just look at the camera and say, that's what he's just said is absolutely not true. He's saying that I'm lying? That's absolutely not true. Go ahead, check it for yourself. Knowing that if you have the balls to look the camera in the eye and say, check it. Most people won't. That's the problem. That's why people like me have become important, because you don't. You allow me to do the thinking for you, and you're like, I like that guy. I gotta trust that guy, and he's kind of funny. And so, well, I trust him. He said it. That's why most people can't make the argument themselves. They'll say, Glenn, tell me what I need to say when I get in, because I always get frustrated. No. Know it inside and out, and then learn how to argue it. Because I can't be there. The president can't be there. You don't want to live in a world of talking points. Know it.
I would add to that, you hit apologetics. Apologetics is knowing why you believe what you believe. You need to be able to defend what you believe from attack. And so what we do in law is we have what's called moot court. Before we go to the Supreme Court, we bring in all these attorneys to attack us the way we think the court will. And you need your friends to do that. Say, hit me up, give me your best shot, and let me see if I can answer that.
No straw men.
That's right.
No straw men. Hit you the hardest you possibly can.
And know why you believe what you believe and articulate that. That's part of thinking, and that's what you need to be trained to do. And you'll have to do it yourself, because education's not going to teach you how to think.
Everything I learned, I was a dummy 20 years ago, 15 years ago, yesterday. Everything that I know, I learned myself. I mean, I went and I looked it all up. I didn't go to college. One semester, that was it. Everything, and the only thing I got out of the semester was the most important thing. The professor looked at me, and I was freaking out, because I'm 30 and all these brainiacs, and it was at Yale. And he called me, and he had lunch, and he said, why are you here? And I said, because I want answers, because I know the answers I have are wrong. And I was hemming and hawing when answering the questions. He just looked at me, and he said, look at me. You know you belong here, right? And I said, I don't know. He said, you're smart enough to be here. That's all I needed. For some stupid reason, I needed somebody to say, you're smart enough, you can come up with it yourself. Well, let me tell you something. You're smart enough. You were born at this time for a reason.
That's right.
eject all the other people and start doing your own homework. If I can do it, anybody can do it.
We've also been convinced that the only way to do it is in the current system that has been developed for us. And there's no other way. And you can't teach your own children, and you can't get outside of the system, but you can. And that's another way that you take things to a local level rather than a federal level.
Yep. Okay. Go ahead. You have something else on that? Okay. Back in just a second.